So years ago, I started to make those checklists, A, B, C priority, and then I never did them all. And then I felt terrible about myself. And I was like, this is not working. And I was like, what's wrong with this picture? Well, if you're constantly focusing on what to do, you're mistaking movement for achievement. Because you don't have to do everything to get results. Oftentimes, 20% of your actions produce 80% of the results, almost always. If you can focus on the things that make the most progress, you'll get what you need. You don't have to have everything done every single day, as long as you keep moving forward. And so I developed a 3-question format. And the first question is, what do I want? Sound familiar? If you're going to get on the path, you got to know what you want. And if you know what you want, meaning what's the specific result I'm after? We call it RPM because the first question is, what's the result you're after? What's the specific target? What is it you really want? Until you know what you want, it's a waste of time to say, what should I do? Right? The second question that I ask once I know what I want is, why do I want it? What's the purpose? That's the P in RPM. RPMs, by the way, is like in a car. If I want to go from here to there faster, you increase the RPMs, the power of it. Well, the way you increase your RPMs is be more clear what you want and be more clear why you want it. Remember I said the other day, reasons come first, answers come second. So we got to get strong enough reasons. So when I'm planning my day, this is how I do it. Now, it's more complex than this because I have categories of focus and so forth. But the essence is, what do I want? What do I want to achieve today? What do I want to achieve this week? What do I want to achieve this month? What specific measurable results do I want? And what's the purpose? Why? Because the purpose is going to push me through when things get tough. And then the M is massive, as you develop a map, a massive action plan. And so what I do is I brainstorm everything I need to do to get that result that day in my mind. And I write down everything. And when I'm done writing down everything, I'll write down things that weren't on my to-do list. My to-do list might got bigger. And then what I do is I go on asterisk the 20% that'll give me 80% of the result. What are the things here that can get me that result the fastest? And very often what you'll discover is you don't have to do anything on your to-do list if you're focused on the outcome that you're after, the result you're after, and why. I'll give you an example. I remember when I was in my early 30s, I was 31, I was at my office one day, and I get paged. It's a 2-story office building we were in. 10-story office building, but we own 2 stories of it. And I was in the upper story, not where my office was, so people were paging me, Mr. Robbins, Tony Robbins. And it's like, Tony Robbins, it's the President of the United States calling, please pick up a line. And so it was Bill Clinton. And so I coached him and worked with him, and he called me up, and he says, Tony, I got to talk to you. He said, I'm stressed out. He goes, they're going to impeach me in the morning. What should I do? And my first response was, could you call me sooner? I mean, it's tomorrow morning, right? It's like, oh, my God. I said, let me offer you a different way to think about this. I said, instead of what should you do, the first question you ask is, what do you want? If you want to stay president of the United States, you can just do what you've been doing, which is basically denying it. Because you're never going to get convicted by the Senate. They're not going to impeach you. And I said, easy for me to say, but you know the numbers. It's not going to happen. I said, or if you want parents to be able to tell their kids, this is the President of the United States, this is a man to respect, then what you might do is different, right? You might have to, you're a lawyer, you know what line you can cross or not. You'll have to own what you've done in some way. And I said, and you got to decide why you're doing this. And then you can figure out what to do. And so I won't go through the whole conversation, obviously, but at the end of it, he goes, wow, that's so brilliant. He goes, all right, that makes so much more sense. He goes, I'll call you back. And he hung up the phone. And I thought, holy shit, I just influenced president to take responsibility and make this happen. This is a beautiful thing. This is history. Of course, that's not what happened. About 20 minutes later, I got a call from his assistant saying he's in a meeting still, but he wants you to know he wants to talk again. 45 minutes later, she called me again. He's so sorry that everybody's coming to him because they're having this press conference. And then she called back and said, they got the press conference. He's not going to be able to talk again. And, of course, he was surrounded by all the other Democrats who got him to get up and deny again what had occurred, right? And so it affected his legacy to some extent. But the point is, the question you want to answer is not what I want to do. The question is, what do I want and why do I want it? And if I do that, then I have these purposes for all the things I'm doing instead of one giant purpose that I'm trying to jam everything underneath.